Day after day, drag after drag, the nagging thought of, I need to quit this, repeats indefinitely through your mind. Everyone has their excuses for not quitting. I'm addicted to nicotine, I'm too stressed, I need something to do with my hands, I just like smoking. These are all incredibly too familiar to cigarette smokers. What if I told you that there was a solution that would work for most people and address all of these issues and more? The solution is vaping, and it's helped numerous cigarette smokers quit the habit for good. There is currently a push against vaping though, with shouts of, we don't even know what's in there, and that can't be good for you. The big tobacco companies are pushing an agenda to rid the country of vaping. It's so nice they care about us so much. Vaping has gotten a bad reputation from sensationalized news stories screaming, the kids are on the vape, and we don't know what's in that vape stuff. I would first like to introduce you to the device and the liquid that's used in vaping. This is my personal vaping device. It's a fairly simple device. I was able to get this set up for around the cost of what I would spend on cigarettes for a week, so by the time I used that money to buy this, I was pretty much invested. I like this setup because you're able to personalize it. I can switch out the plates to a different color, so it's almost like having a new device every time I do this. This is also where the batteries go. I can usually get an entire day's use out of these batteries. I do have two sets, so I can have one charging while I'm using these. It has a digital screen where I can change the wattage, which is how hot it's running at. It also shows me how much battery I have left. Contrary to what many people have heard about these devices, there are safety features built into mine so that I don't run the risk of burning a mattress or starting a fire with exploding batteries. While this model has the ability to go up to 250 watts of power, with this tank on, which is admittedly not a very powerful tank, it will only allow me to go up to 135 watts. This is because the vape setup knows that anything higher would damage my coil. There are other safety features that are in this device, such as pushing these two buttons to lock it so you don't vape in your pocket. On top is the tank where you can adjust the airflow to create more of a draw, similar to traditional cigarettes, or open the air up all the way to create huge vaping clouds. There's a coil in the middle that contains cotton fibers that wick up the juice. The coil also heats up the juice to create the vape, which is actually heated oil vapor, kind of similar to when you boil water. An argument that big tobacco makes against vape juice is that we don't even know what's in the stuff. My argument back to them would be, we do know what's in cigarettes, and that's tar, nicotine, and chemical compounds that have been heavily linked to lung cancer. While as of now, juice makers are not required to share their ingredients, most are more than willing. You can even make your own vape juice at home. The major, and for most part, only components in vape juices are propylene glycol, which is a fairly common additive in many of the foods we already consume. Another ingredient is vegetable glycerin, which is essentially what it sounds like, vegetable oil. There are only two other ingredients, which are flavorings and nicotine if you choose. You can choose your level of nicotine with the juice, and some juices are sold with no nicotine whatsoever. There are many small juice making companies, and one of the funnest things about vaping is trying all the different flavors. The vaping industry is even starting to self-govern itself in a bid to appease the federal government and big tobacco's call for a ban. While vape juice is not currently required to have any warning labels whatsoever, my current vape juice is taking the responsible route and includes warnings to keep out of reach of children because it contains nicotine, and even warns that the nicotine it contains has been linked to birth defects. Most vape companies also refrain from using colored dyes in their products because they're unnecessary to the product outcome and are one less substance they have to worry about causing an adverse effect to their users. While common sense tells us that breathing in oxygen and nothing else is the safest practice, if an individual is going to put a substance into their lungs either way, the safest one would be the best option. Cigarettes contain ingredients such as tar, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, ammonia, arsenic, and DDT. There are over 43 known carcinogens in cigarettes. We've already touched upon the ingredients in the juices. The CDC agrees that there is a public health benefit if adult smokers switch completely to electronic cigarettes. And while the general consensus is there's not enough long-term research to come to a definitive conclusion, when the other side is promising a young, painful death, what do smokers have to lose by switching to vaping? In the last century, 1 billion people have died as a result of cigarette smoking. Can't we allot these 1 billion people the chance for an alternative instead of regulations that increase the cost of vaping products to the point that they're unmarketable? The push for a ban isn't about the public safety because the alternative is not safe. The ban is being pushed by big tobacco, afraid of decreasing profit margins. The American Association of Public Health Physicians has stated that vaping has the potential to save 4 million American adults from smoking-related diseases within the next 2 decades. Media outlets like to point out the dangers of children seeing vaping, thinking it's cool, and picking up a bad habit. While there has been an increase in the number of those aged 18 and younger vaping in the last 10 years, there's also been a decrease in the number of adolescents smoking cigarettes. This shows not only that since vaping wasn't invented 10 years ago so no one could do it, but that those adolescents choosing to vape would have probably chosen to smoke cigarettes if vaping wasn't an option. Media outlets point to the fruity, good-tasting flavors that juice comes in as proof that they are advertising to children. Adults like things that taste good too. A CDC study has shown that only 0.09% of vape users were not previous cigarette users. The vape industry's target customers are smokers. The big tobacco companies are financing a war on vaping, not because they care about the citizens that choose to vape, but because they care about the citizens that choose to vape instead of smoking their products. Even if you're not a smoker, you need to realize that harm reduction is sometimes the better alternative when eradication does not work. Help give those that choose to put harmful substances into their body a choice about what those harmful substances are. It doesn't take a scientist to tell you that no tar equals no sticky residue, and no combustion equals no combustible chemicals. Thank you.